Right, welcome. I see Spotify's not coming through. Hello to Yolandi and Uriel with a how's it, Lee? I assume you're in South Africa. And Richard, welcome. Thanks for joining. Let me see if I can fix the Spotify thing. Hold on. That's probably why. Right, there we go. Got some Led Zeppelin playing. Just let me know if you can hear the music, if it's too loud, if it's too soft. Mike Barker, hello. From Los Angeles, welcome. Yeah, I'm never quite sure what... I can see the volume, it goes like on my screen here, but I don't know what you can hear that side. So, and I think last month when we did this, I turned the music down so much I don't think you can actually hear it anyway. We're doing some old school rock today. So, Cosmic Enigma, hi, thanks for joining. Cat's off my knee now. Well, now the group meditation's finished, yeah. Thank you for joining. Right, anybody who is new to the Covenstead, just a chat, just to get together and chat whatever you want to chat about. It's a Covenstead, just a bunch of witches talking about what they like talking about. So that's it. So if you got anything you want to chat about, any questions you've got, comments you want to make, anything like that, just drop them in the chat. Cosmic, yeah, she got off my knee about 20 minutes ago. There you go. Well, you had a good meditation with your cat. There you go. Yeah, as I said, just let me know if the music's too loud or too soft, because I can't tell. Let's see what we've got. We've got The Doors, we've got Sky, Jefferson Airplane, Snowy White, 10 Years After. Yeah. Pink Floyd, obviously. David Bowie, obviously. Got some Cream, Supertramp, Dire Straits. Yeah, got the old school stuff today. Good stuff. Ivan, hi, how are you? Can you hear the music? Okay, good stuff. Cosmic Magic. And not what we do, the illusion. Oh, you're asking about that? Yeah, that was a question you put in before. We'll talk about that today, I think. If the Doors, Pink Floyd best. I love Pink Floyd, yeah. Alright, magic and not what we do, the illusion. So you were asking about how stage magic is similar or different to what we do. There are some similarities, but stage magic is really illusion. It's sleight of hand, it's tricking people, and you also mentioned mesmerism, which is really, a lot of it is reading micro expressions on people, and through the micro expressions, you kind of know what they're thinking. If they're telling you the truth, what have you, and you can go in a particular direction with the conversation. You can steer it in a conversation. They may also use NLP, I think, if I remember correctly, to kind of insert suggestions, and that's it's a whole thing of steering the. I can't really say the conversation, but the flow of how things are going, how things are happening, and everything else. And then it becomes sleight of hand and illusion. So that's very different to what we do. However, what is interesting is that a lot of magic that we do is what Terry Pratchett called headology. So it is very much psychological in many respects. It doesn't have to be, obviously, but I think in many respects it can be, and it can very much enhance the magic we're doing. If you have this burst and puff of smoke, and then all of a sudden something appears, it taps into something which is childlike almost, and I think that can definitely improve our magic. The emotions that come with that, and what it does to our will and intent and everything else. So there's definitely some worth in having a look at some stage magic and illusion magic to actually add to your own spell work and rituals and stuff like that. It was Ray Sherwin who wrote, I wouldn't say it was an article, a very short book called Theatre of Magic, and if I remember correctly, that was all about performance. And when you go into a ritual, you should really go into it like you're an actor. You memorize the lines and then you recite the lines, and everybody who's in the ritual will do the same thing. They'll memorize and they'll, at their place, they will recite the lines. I mean, you don't need to be like perfect Hollywood actors or anything like that, but it is very similar to being in theatre, and a lot of that can add to the expression of the magic we do. So I think there's some worth to it. It's not the same thing. Illusionism is different. You are trying to impress somebody with your sleight of hand or your skill at mesmerism or something like that. But when we're doing magic, spell work and stuff, that's just for a result, an outcome, to change whatever circumstances are in at the time. So yeah, different but can be used. Roop is here. Hello, Roop. Glad you could join Studio Noir. How's it? How are you? Magic is an art you perform. Yes, but magic is a craft. Yeah, as well. Can be. It depends what you're doing. There are so many different ways you can actually do magic. If it is ritual based, then you'll probably find that performance is very apt. Oh, I see what you meant there. Sorry, magic with a C and magic with a K. I think the magic with a K kind of comes out of Crowley's inclusion of K at the end, but that had a whole different aspect to it. That was magic with a C had 5 letters, and magic with a K at the end had 6 letters. So he was kind of comparing a difference there between the numbers 5 and 6, based on 5 being the pentagram, 6 being the hexagram, that sort of thing. But I get what you mean though. There's a lot of people say that it was supposed to be a differentiation between witchcraft or magic in that respect, ceremonial magic and stage magic. Cosmic, thanks for the explanation. I've been watching BGT, Don't Shoot Me, and some amazing magicians which brought the question to me. I don't know what BGT is. Studio Noir needs cultivation. Okay. Not sure what that's in reference to, sorry. And Cosmic, is that why some magicians wear a robe for the stage, one could say? Not really. We often wear robes to... It can be for a stage type of thing. You are changing your clothes and you are moving your own self from your profane life into your spiritual magical life. So you put on ritual clothing, and it doesn't have to be a robe, but ritual clothing. If you, however, have a big hood, there's a very particular purpose for that, and it's usually in relation to trance work. You put on your hood. It's almost like blinders on a horse. Blinders? I think it's called blinders. And you kind of enclose yourself in this area that you can't see what's going on in your peripheral vision. And it's very handy and very useful for trance work itself. Britain's Got Talent. I love Britain's Got Talent. It's brilliant. And there are actually some magicians, I cannot remember the guy's name. I don't think it was David Blaine. But there was one particular magician, I remember seeing this about 10 years ago or something. He kind of came out that he he was an illusionist, but I don't know how true it was, obviously. But he was talking about he had real magical training from some tribe or something, in, I don't know where. So he actually incorporated that into his stage magic, and it was very interesting, I must say. So I think you'll probably find that some of these stage magicians, they get to a point where they're kind of like going to try and figure out if, you know, where the roots are. So they might go down that avenue anyway. Chris Angel, it could have been Chris Angel. I really can't remember who it was actually. But Chris Angel, yeah, it might have been Chris Angel. I'd have to go try and dig some stuff out again, but I can't remember where it is. Ivan, I have found that I can do several rituals a day. How often should you do rituals? Any recommendations? As much as you want to and need to, really. You know, if you have the time to be able to do that, then fantastic. You know, but you know, when we're talking, you know, depends what you're talking about ritual. You know, a lot of people will say ritual in terms of going into creating a sacred space and you know, doing ritual itself rather than sitting down doing meditation. I mean, you can open a sacred space and just sit down and do meditation. You know, absolutely fine with that. But ritual is usually a performance of some kind, a set, like a play, like being in theatre. So that's a bit different to, you know, doing spell work or doing meditation. But it, you know, if you can do that, if you can do whatever practices, meditations, etc., several times a day, that would be brilliant. Cosmic, interesting about the hood like that. Would a snoozle have the same effect? What the hell's a snoozle? Leonardo, hello Leonardo, how are you? Thanks for the content. Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I enjoy doing it. So that's cool. Yeah, coming back to, I've mentioned, and if Jono joins us today, I'm sure he'll bring up Barden. But I mean, if you actually have the time to do several rituals a day, you might be interested in actually following the training in initiation into hermetics, because you kind of start off and it's like, you know, a practice here, a practice there, but as you build on after each chapter, there's Jono, hello. I was just talking about you. As you build on, it becomes a hell of a long practice. I was just talking about Barden. I don't know if you were in the background listening to me there. So yeah, if you have the time to do that, you know, do hours of ritual and practice every day, you might want to actually look into Barden. And Paul, I love you, Lee. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for content. It's a pleasure. Alright. Okay. That covers those questions, anyway. As I said at the beginning, if anybody's new to the Covenstead, this is just a bunch of witches talking about whatever they want to talk about. Nothing specific. If you got any comments, questions, whatever, just throw them in the chat. Studio, what's your plans about the new moon? Any workings in progress? I do new moon rituals, so I do kind of Hellenistic based actually. I do Deep Nun, which I'm going to do after this. I did actually, with Deep Nun I usually do an ancestral tapping the bone type working, but I did that last night because I was doing this tonight, so not enough time. But I'll do Deep Nun for Hecate. Tomorrow I'll do something for Pan, and then on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday I'll do something for the house spirit, for the good spirit, the Agathos Daimon. I need to actually set up a spot in the kitchen for the house spirit again. So I need to sort that out on Tuesday. And then it's the Sabbath on, well, depends on your timing, I'm going to be doing it on Wednesday on the 7th, because that's the astrological timing. And here in South Africa, that is Imbolg. For you guys, is it Lunasa, yeah. So we're going to spring. It's going to get hot again. John Owen's in the background. One of the things I like about initiation into Hermetics is it's several lifetimes worth of work. Yes, absolutely. If you've mastered it, you can literally walk on water, type stuff like that. Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, it covers everything you could possibly think of and need within magic. I actually asked you Friday if you read Frabato. I haven't read any of these books in years. I actually want to read that one again though, because that was pretty good as far as I remember. Just want to go to his books. I'll put them in a specific folder. Oh, no, wait, no, not there. Can't remember where I put them now. Oh, yeah. Put them in his own folder. So you've got initiation into Hermetics. Then there is practice of magical evocation, which was interesting. There's a lot of speculation that he just made up some of those spirits, which I have no problem with myself. Create egregores and get other people, groups to work with them. It works perfectly. I've also got here a Barden Companion, practical companion for the student of Franz Barden's system of Hermetic initiation. Then there's Frabato. I've got introductory materials as well. What's this? Oh, the key to the true Kabbalah. That was his other one. And then I've got a Franz Barden questions and answers. Answers 185 of the most frequently asked spiritual questions. Okay, there you go. So there's a few Franz Barden books, by the way. Let's see, Cosmic. I'm just looking at the app you suggested for the moon cycles, and it's in Leo. What does that mean? It's so complex. I love it all. I'm learning tarot at the moment too, and trying all that. Okay. You know me. I'm not really an astrologer. Best person to ask would be Kai for that. They will know. But if you take Leo, which is a very kind of bossy kind of energy, that kind of get off your ass and start doing stuff. You'll probably find that that's the energy that we are picking up with the moon at the moment, being in Leo. Let me just double check mine, because it's a good app, because it's actually got it includes the sun as well. Yeah, moon's in Leo. And on Wednesday, and during the Sabbath, it's going into Virgo, or going out of Virgo, between Virgo and Libra. Anyway, yeah. Best to ask an astrologer that question, though. I can only give you a brief and speculative answer on that one. Leonardo, is the Kybalion a good place to start studying Hermetic philosophy? Yes and no. I enjoyed the book. A lot of people poo-poo on it. The Kybalion was written by three people who kind of took Hermeticism and branched out a little bit. So a lot of people will say it's not Hermetic law at all. But it's a good place to start. I think it's a great place to start. It's simple, it's concise, it's straightforward, and you can get your foot in the door type of thing with the Kybalion. I do enjoy it. But then after that, go into like Corpus Hermetica and that type of stuff. And if you do start exploring the emerald tablets, there's 2 forms of the emerald tablets. One is completely false. The true emerald tablets is just a brief little thing, and people speculating on what it actually means. But that whole long book is somebody just made that up somewhere along the line. So just be aware of those things, when you get into Hermetic philosophy. I know about Fabato, but I haven't read it. I might struggle separating the fact from the fiction in it. I also haven't even tried his Kabbalah book. Yeah, they're all very. I enjoyed all of them, including Fabato. Just to get some background on the man himself, But yeah, they're all worth reading. But no, with everything, just read with a kind of discerning mind. It's probably the best word to use. Yolandi, just a heads up, we have a double Mercury retrograde this month. A double Mercury? How do you do a double Mercury retrograde? Is it feeling left out or something? No. No wonder my internet keeps going bad in the evenings. Cosmic, thank you. The wall, amazing. Yep, got the wall. Let's just see what's next. Oh, we went past Jefferson Airplane. I love White Rabbit. I missed it. It's in my ear, but I still missed it. David Bowie next. Golden Years. Okay. Alright, where are we? It's between the 5th and 24th of August, between 2 zodiac signs. Okay. You know more about astrology than I do, so maybe you can explain the Leo moon, the moon being in Leo at the moment and what that signifies. No, if you can. Jono, I'm enjoying the music selection. I thought we'd do some old school rock. So yeah, thanks. It's a pleasure. Cosmic, thanks, Yuli. Up until a couple of years ago, I was a real skeptic about astrology, etc. I think Russell Grant tainted it all for me. Yeah, lots of people are skeptic about astrology. I don't understand it. I just know that when I get a reading, that it's spot on. Luke's, hi, how are you? I'm so glad that I opened YouTube. Oh, fantastic. Glad you're here. Studio, do you think that is possible to evoke and work with an intelligence like, let's say, Plato or Pythagoras? And in that case, do you really evoke their spirit or a somewhat egregoric idea archetype? There's going to be a lot of speculation regarding this question, because what you're really dealing with is the blessed dead and necromancy at the end of the day. So it gets a bit different to working with gods and goddesses and demons, etc. But what you'll be, again, yeah, depends on the person you speak to, and you're going to get a different answer. My personal interpretation at this point in my life, it may change in 5 years' time. When we call on the dead, we are really calling a part of them which held their ego self, and it became like a mirror of them, of their personality, and contains their knowledge. And I often relate this to the lower self, the nefesh. I could be wrong there, but I consider it to be the shadow part of the nefesh which kind of stays behind, and that's what we contact. And because it's the nefesh has access to all knowledge, so it can tap into other things and answer particular questions which the person in life may not have actually known, or you thought he might not have known. But usually it is that's kind of the shadow of the ego self. In the past I've called it the phantasm. When a person dies, all their soul parts do different things, and the one part is this ego self, which is I called the phantasm until I learnt about Kabbalah and Nefesh and things like that. So now I just relate it to something else. But yeah, it's really that kind of thing. But even in that interpretation, that gets a bit tricky, because my own experience. For several years I spoke to my father after he died, and it was a very tangible conversation. I'd go for a walk early in the morning and I'd talk to him, and then 2 weeks before my mother died, he came to me and he said, your mum's got 2 weeks, I've just been waiting around for her so I can help her across and everything else, and blah blah blah, etc, etc. So 2 weeks later my mum died, and they kind of went off together, and since then the conversation's completely changed. It's not that same kind of tangible conversation I have. So yeah, it's a very tricky area, a mushy kind of speculations. That's probably the best I can do at the moment. But yeah, you're actually talking to the dead itself. Mike, Sacred Theatre. Are you talking about ritual and theatre of magic and stuff like that? Yeah. It becomes a very interesting aspect of doing ritual work, and I think it's quite an important aspect, really. There is that aspect that when you go into a ritual, if you are reading the ritual, off a sheet or whatever it is, and you're going around and each person is like taking their turn and you're kind of reading the ritual, it doesn't have the same kind of impact as if you have, as if you're performing it like actors. And then you get the impact of the ritual, especially if it's something like a sabbatical ritual where you are retelling or replaying a particular mythos within the ritual itself, and then when you get everybody going and they actually take on the part, and then they start to actually invoke the spirits they are actually playing, and it gets very interesting. Yeah. Luke's, by the way, I have a question. I can communicate with spirits, beings, deities by energy and telepathy, but I can't hear them. Is there any way to change this? You can work on the psychic sense of hearing, clairvoyance. Sorry, not clairvoyance, clairaudience. It's the audio part. And the way you would do that is to, when we are doing the foundational concentration, visualization type of exercises, it's usually, you kind of, the usual example is see an apple, imagine an apple, and then you constantly do this every day, and it helps with the building of the visualization. But what you can do is you can take that apple and you can smell it, you can tap it, which makes a sound. You can bite into it, which generates taste but also sound as you are crunching the apple. So take things in your visual field, in your mind's eye, that will make a noise, and start making noises with them, and see if that starts coming through to and then you can train your clairaudience. It's going to take a lot of practice. If it doesn't come naturally to you, it's one of those things you have to really, really train at. But there's nothing wrong with, communication via energy and telepathy. I communicate via thoughts and impressions and things like that. So nothing wrong with that. It can get a bit tricky sometimes because you do tend to take what's being given to you, and then with your internal dialogue, if you've got an internal dialogue, then you start talking to yourself in order to communicate that within words, because that's how we communicate on a day-to-day basis. So we do that, and then we start to question whether we're actually just creating a fantasy and we're talking to ourselves. But it really is just taking that energy or telepathy, or in my case the impressions and the thoughts and ideas and things like that, and taking that and interpreting it into verbal speech, so that we can, because that's the way we're used to communicating. and it's my internal dialogue. But the more you do it, the more confidence you have in your own ability. So just carry on doing it. Cosmic, on the reading being spot on, and this could include tarot. Is it our energy that is a reading, and this is why it's so accurate? Oh, you're talking about the astrological stuff. It's usually because, as far as I know, as I said, disclaimer, I'm not an astrologer in the slightest, but what you'll find is you are born at a particular time, and therefore there are particular planetary influences which are set up at that time. So the influences of planets and all the other stuff that goes into astrology, that influences you at that time, and how then those planets, etc., move as you're moving through your life continues to affect it. So what really makes it accurate, I think, is a good astrologer, because if the astrologer doesn't know anything, or doesn't really know their stuff, then they're not going to be able to do the proper mathematical calculations that need to be done. I mean, there's a lot of apps and programs now that do that for them. But a good astrologer, probably somebody who has actually done that manually, and can do the mathematics behind the whole thing, and actually get to the nitty-gritty of it. Because I think even in tarot and things like that, you get some readers who do a very general thing, and then you get some readers who really get to the nitty-gritty of the situation, and sometimes it becomes scary what they can actually pick up. So I think it is the person who's doing the astrologer themselves, or the tarot reader, their skills. Roop, do you have any recommendations how one could do self-healing with magic to support therapy and body work, working with childhood stuff, attachment issues, etc.? There is a particular practice that I always recommend with this, and that is recapitulation from the Toltec warrior path, and it has several reasons for it. It kind of, as you're doing recapitulation, you start to go into, the whole idea is to go into a memory, and kind of start replaying it as best you can, really feeling the emotions and everything else. Then you give your energy back to the person you're interacting with, and you take your power. So you kind of disconnect from that person, you take your power, and the more power you build, the more layers you start to uncover, and then you start to really get down into, it's like peeling back an onion, you get down to the core of things, and the more power you get, the easier it becomes. And what you'll also find is when you start going back to childhood events, what we experienced as a child is often different. It's interpreted differently to how we may interpret it if we were experiencing it as an adult. So it's, you kind of go back and you view this memory and you feel the emotions, and as an adult, and also if you go into this with an observer mind, and stand back and watch and understand what was actually happening, you may have a completely different impression of what actually happened, and that can change a whole lot of stuff. A child who went through some experience, and I'm not talking about like severe traumas or anything like that. Just their father, who they love so much, was just pissed off one day and kind of pushed them aside and said, "Not today." And that one single tiny little thing that happened to them kind of just set something off for the rest of their life until adulthood. And then when they go back as an adult and watch the scene, it's completely different. They're seeing this and they understand, well, my dad had a really, really bad day. He got fired from his job. He got sworn at work or whatever it was. And he's just really had a bad day. And we all have bad days. As a child, that's a different experience to being an adult. So recapitulation is great. But also, as I said, observer mind. So practice meditation. and specifically in terms of the third eye and practicing the observer, becoming the observer. So you're not reacting to situations instantly. I hope that helps. Cosmic Eliphas Levy in Transcendental Magic has a ritual for necromancy. Not sure how comfortable I would be with necromancy, but that may be old prejudices, that word, coming through. It depends what you're talking about when we're in regards to necromancy. I can't remember what it was in Transcendental Magic. I'm actually going to go through all the old books again because I read them 20 years ago or something. But usually that time period, and I think this is probably one of those that made it into the Weight book. What was it called? Black Magic or something. But usually necromancy in those days meant taking a corpse and enlivening it so that you could talk to it and get answers. That was necromancy. Nowadays that's changed a lot, so we're no longer digging graves and pulling out the corpses and trying to bring them back to life for an instant so we can actually ask them questions. And that's actually a very interesting aspect anyway, because I don't think it was actually the actual person that came back. It was some kind of spirit that just entered the body and animated it. But necromancy nowadays is a bit different. We talk about necromancy in so many different terms. I mean, this is mediumship. Talking to a spirit through a spirit board, or talking or dead, the beloved dead, or actually doing ancestral work can be considered necromancy nowadays, because it's this is where terminology kind of gets a bit skewy, because mancy really is something to do with divining, and necro is to do with the dead, so you're supposed to be divining with the dead. So it is really about talking to the dead and getting answers, divination. But a lot of people consider necromancy to also include grief counselling for the living, because somebody died. So it really covers a lot nowadays, and but funerary rites and all such things. So if you're digging up dead corpses and stuff, that's a whole different story. We don't do that now. I don't anyway, thank God. Arena asks, sorry for being late. Hello, hope everyone is there. It's fine, don't worry. We're only half an hour-ish in. Luke's, I feel like I just need to pull my computer forward. It's just a bit out of focus. God, getting old. I feel like I know what you're talking about. When I start my journey, I did this while encountering with Yogamundo. We had conversations, and then he showed me so many things. I will try this again. Okay, cool. As I said, when we're talking about sight, psychic senses, seeing, all of that stuff, we do that with our entire being. It's not with our psychic eyes. It's everything. It's our whole body. It's our whole self, our whole being. So and different people have different natural abilities in that regard. So I find it good to focus on the natural abilities until you've got it down pat and you're actually communicating with spirits without question. Then you can start working on the other abilities if you want to. I haven't bothered because I don't have a need for it. I can communicate, I know I can, so that's what I do. And quite often I get messages when I go for an evening walk. I just get messages come through. Here's an interesting thing. Sorry, I just want to actually put this in because it's something I realised the other day that you should be doing. I do, but I always forget that you should be doing it yourself. If you do get a message from a spirit, and it's not a parasite, it is the actual spirit you want to talk to. If you get a message, still confirm that message. If a spirit tells you to do something and there's nothing wrong with it, it's not going to do any harm or anything like that, still check, and do divination and just make sure. I did this the other day, and this is what reminded me of it. I got a message. I'm not going to say who or what for, whatever. It was very personal. But I got a message, and I did divination, and I checked. Was it a message from the spirit that I thought it was? Yes, it was. Okay, cool. Should I do what I was told to do? No. I'm like, okay. So just because you get, a demon or a god of Earth tells you to do something, doesn't always mean you should do it or you have to do it. Sometimes your higher self, your holy guardian angel, personal daimon, whatever, etc. terms, may actually consider it to be counter to your own true will. Therefore, you shouldn't be doing it. Or it may be something that down the line, months down the line, is going to come back and just kind of bite you in the arse type of thing. Good for you now, maybe not later. So always do divination. It doesn't, just because a spirit tells you to do something and it's fine, it's no harm to it, doesn't always mean you should be doing it. Okay, so check those things. Cosmic. Yes, this is my understanding. Our blueprint. Yes, that's what I thought it was. I watched a film a while ago where they were experimenting with animation, which was bringing a dead person back to life by evoking the spirit in it. Yeah, see, the thing is, when somebody dies, the spirit kind of leaves, and I think all the soul parts do as well. So the only thing left is the physical body, or the guf, as it's called in Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, etc. So yeah, I don't think the spirit actually stays. I don't think any part of the soul or spiritual, game terminology, actually stays in the body. But another spirit could come along and animate it and talk to you about whatever. So it's a bit like the golem, actually. It's actually as far as I remember, it's the Shadim who come along and animate the golem. And the Shadim are very much what we may call Fae or Jinn. They're considered to be half human, half angel or something. The story goes that the creator was creating these beings, and then the Sabbath came along and he had to stop, and so they only got half created, so they got stuck in this thing. But they've got wings, and the Shadim, the Fae, very similar to that. I think it's the Shadim. It's probably not the Dibuk, but anyway, I'll have to double check that. Going off on a tangent again. Joan's here. Hello, Joan. Ivan. One of the most powerful rituals I do is Tarpanam, which is a Hindu ritual which honors the mother and father of my roots. It is amazing and healing. Thank you for sharing any ancestral work. Okay, great, excellent stuff. I haven't heard of the Tarpanam. I'm going to have to go check that. I need a pit. Seems like you're going to hear new stuff. I'll have to go down rabbit holes. Cool. Thank you for that. Yolandi Cosmic was the movie The Lazarus Effect. There you go. Questions for Cosmic? And now there's no questions at all. I'm going to drink my hot chocolate because I haven't drunk it yet. Actually, coming back to the Shadim, it's actually an interesting word because that's plural. The singular is shade. It's not spelt as per the English, but it kind of, I think maybe that's where the whole idea of the shade, which usually refers to something to do with the dead. I think that may be where that comes from, actually. Might. have its roots there. Cosmic, I don't think so. Doesn't ring a bell, but my memory is like a sieve. Yeah, mine too, don't worry. Somebody was asking about. I've forgotten the bloody name of the movie. It was one where he's doing the Abramelin. They hire a house. She wants to talk to her dead son, so they do the Abramelin. A bit of a silly movie, actually. But anyway, okay, Jono, Uncle. You're getting a positive experience from your ancestor work. Every now and again, so I did it. I mean, as I said, I kind of did some work last night, and I didn't really get any experience at all because I was actually, for some reason, I was just little bit too tired. So I was sitting there and I just kept drifting off into sleep. Nothing came through. But yeah, usually quite often I do. When the Levee Breaks is my favourite song of all time. Cool, was that just playing? I'm not actually listening. It's in my ear. Oh, When the Levee Breaks, there we go. Playing now. Cosmic. I've seen that film where she wants to talk to her dead son. Is the guy performing the ritual of his rocker and violent? I don't think he was violent. He did have a drinking problem and he had to get sober for it. I remember that. Funny, I remember all the details, can't remember the bloody name of the movie. Somebody's going to remember it, I know. There we go. Now I can't see it because the bloody heart's in the way. I think the movie called is a... It's definitely that one because I see song. Can't remember that's word there. Okay, we'll wait for somebody else to put it in the comments and then it'll go up. Yes, but it's that one. Dark Song, there you go, Dark Song, yes. It was a bit of a weird movie actually. It was good. I mean, it was entertaining and stuff, but I don't think it had anything to do with Abramelin. Nothing at all. He was creating these intricate geometric symbols on the ground and layers throughout the floors, and nothing to do with the Abramelin that I did anyway. And it's all got to do with knowledge and conversation with the HGA, so it's got nothing to do with talking to dead sons and stuff. So yeah. But anyway, it was a good movie, it's entertaining. Cosmic, yes, don't know what that is. So quite violent. Okay. I cannot decipher that message. Sorry, my decoder ring isn't working at the present moment. Luke's, thank you Lee for answer. I will practice after 20 minutes or so, something. And thank you so much for everything, what you do, that you sharing all your knowledge and helping people. It's just amazing. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. As I said earlier, I enjoy doing it. I love it. So I'm actually going to be doing, I think it's going to come up going to come up soon, is a comment roasting video. I've, for some reason, the past couple of weeks just got Christians bombarding my chat, my comments. If anybody does get a comment to their comment from a Christian, just I don't see it often. Apologies for me. You're a bit of a pain at the moment. Cosmic Nurse, sorry. He does bad things to her. He did have a bit of a sexual kink, as far as I remember. Yeah. But anyway, it was a great movie. Nothing to do with Abramelin. You know what was a really good series? Oh, damn it, and I've forgotten that name as well. It had to do with John Dee's work. It's a blonde girl in the UK. She inherits a house, huge big mansion. And it was a group of people who were doing specific Enochian workings to call an angel into physical manifestation. Oh, what the fuck is it called? I'll have to pull all these old series of movies out and get all the names and put them up somewhere. That was very good. I enjoyed that one. I watched that twice. I want to actually watch it again. I can't remember it. Let me see if I can find it in Google quickly. Excuse the clicking and clacking. UK. What do we do? Requiem. That was what it was called. I'm sure it was. Let me just double check. Requiem. Yes, it was called Requiem. I really enjoyed that. Was it the AO? No, it wasn't. But that was also. I actually want to watch that again because that blew my mind. Gotta go do that one. Jono, how's it going with Christians coming after you and Rev? Another tiny channel I follow has had a rough time with them. We're not seeing on the other channel that I do with Kai, but on mine, I've almost got 10,000 subs now, so I guess I'm getting a bit more attention. But yeah, they're just all of a sudden just coming out of the woodwork. And it's like, well, we're going into spring, so maybe they're just waking up or something. I don't know. But I have some interesting conversations. I'm just going to put them. I've actually taken screenshots of the comments, and I'm going to put them all. Just do a video and roast them. I just don't understand why they keep going to people's channels and trying to convert them. I mean, what's the fucking point? Stupid. I've been alive doing this longer than they've been alive, type of thing. Cosmic, yeah, the AI was brilliant. Look at Landy. I love responding to them. Yeah, we all do. So as long as you don't get upset, because really, it's just I find them funny. I really do. Alright, is everybody kind of slowing down now? Cosmic, because we all have to love Jesus as is the one to save us all. Actually, my argument with the whole you must turn to Jesus because Jesus is coming back soon. When he comes back, he's just going to hate them. I mean, what they're doing in his name is atrocious. It's disgusting. Not all of them. There are some wonderful, absolutely marvellous, wonderful Christians, I will say that. But, these evangelical types, no. And I've been down that route myself. When I was a kid, I was part of EE. I say kid, I was a teenager. I was in 16, 17, somewhere around there. That was Evangelical Explosion. And we used to go knocking on people's doors. I fucking hated it. I left after a couple of weeks. Luke's, by the way, in the morning I found out that some people in Offa have sigil to see and hear spirits. Have you ever heard of this? In Offa, is that a mistype? Sorry, I'm not really understanding what that is. Let me just reread that just in case, because I am getting older, as I say. By the way, in the morning I found out that some people in Offa have sigil to see and hear spirits. Have you ever heard of this? If you're talking about the use of sigils to connect with spirits, yes, a lot of people do it. I generally don't use sigils myself. I do use them on boxes, spirit boxes and stuff like that, but not when I'm calling, wanting to call on them. because my eyes are usually closed and I'm usually chanting, so I don't really see the sigil, but I may sometimes visualize the sigil in my mind's eye. If I'm going through my astral temple to go into their realm, I have a specific door, and I'll usually go and speak to a specific spirit, and I will usually imagine the sigil of that spirit on the door in like bright blue flames or something, which then connects me to that spirit, and then I'll open the door and step into their realm. So yeah, I do use sigils in some regards, but I don't like sit and gaze at it and chant at the same time. As I said, my eyes are usually closed. But if you're going to do that, it's kind of an effective method. Probably the best way to do that is actually to keep redrawing the sigil. And if you go onto, I'm going to put the link in the thing because I'm probably going to say it wrong. Twilight Grotto. Twilight Grotto. It's not in. Oh no, not in my. There it is. Twilight Grotto. It's Esoteric Archives. Have a look for the original grimoires, because what's nice about these is they're not the pretty sigils and seals that you see in the, like Crowley's and Mather's versions of the grimoires. These are like the raw hand-drawn stuff, and there's something about them which it connects you to the energy a lot better. And what you can then do is take the sigil and just start drawing it, and you might see it and figure out that there's actually a pattern to actually draw it. Like this line goes first and it's left to right, this line then moves down from here, and you might see a pattern start to form, and you start drawing it in that pattern, and just keep drawing it over and over and over on top of each. Draw it and then draw it again on top and draw it again on top, etc., etc. And you'll probably find the sigil starts to kind of come to life, vibrates, and then you'll probably start to feel the energy. And especially if you're chanting an N or something like that, it's all very, put it all together, and it's quite helpful. So if that's what you're talking about, I hope that's what you're talking about. Jono, hi chat, please ask questions. I'm enjoying this music. You mentioned it. Ask questions, so call it a night. I'll stay on for a bit. I've still got a lot of hot chocolate because I'm talking too much tonight. Uriel, can dissolve a tulpa when its job is done? I'm not entirely certain. Tulpa is a very specific thing from Tibetan practices. And I could speculate based on my own method of working with servitors and familiars, artificial elementals and things, but tulpa is a very, very specific thing in a very specific region and culture. So I can't really say for certain, but if you are considering this to be the same as what a Westerner would create as a servitor, then yes, absolutely. When the job is done, it's usually part of the programming that we do with the servitor or the artificial elemental. When your job is done, you will dissolve back to the source that you came from, and that depends on how you created it. I usually work with the elements because I create artificial elementals in a Kabbalistic way. So if I created it using the element of air, for instance, then it will dissolve back into air when its job's done. And it's not always when the job's done. Sometimes you have a particular situation where the servitor gets a bit out of hand and you have to end it, which is quite sad. I don't like doing that myself. Can't actually think of a time I have done it. But it's one of those things you need to bear in mind and remember. Something could happen, so you need something in place to say, okay, that's it. We need to dissolve you back to source, and we'll start over again or something like that. But that's if you're interpreting the same thing. John, I started a relationship with the land guardian of the place I'm staying. Fascinating, powerful dude. I'm struggling to keep up with maintaining the relationship because of mundane life stuff. I would just, I wouldn't actually make a promise in this regard, but kind of suggest that you will do something maybe once a month, or it could even be once a Sabbath, or something like that. In many regards, people will make these kind of deals with spirits, and it could be once a year you'll actually do something specific, whatever that agreement is. So it doesn't have to be a daily thing. So just see what you can do, what you can fit in with your mundane life, and just try and stick to it as best you can. Sometimes I've found if I've made promises in the past that I'll come like every week, and then something happens and I can't get there for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I go back and I have to kind of appease them because I didn't keep my promise, and you should be keeping your promises. But things happen, and they do kind of understand, but rather just suggest that you'll do this, unless it's something you're going to do once a year and it's something you can absolutely do. There's no question about it, but at the same time, be careful of making that kind of promise and that kind of oath, because at some stage you might find you move overseas, like to the UK for instance, and now all of a sudden you can't carry on with that oath, that promise, so you actually end up breaking it. So that's why I say kind of make a suggestion that you'll do something. You'll be attentive. It's kind of probably the way I would go about it. I'm sure some other people would disagree with that, but I don't know, it just seems the best way, I think. Luke's, that's so interesting, I will experiment with this. And about the sigil, I meant that it's supposed to help you see them and hear them, and I was wondering if you heard about it. Oh, okay, alright. I haven't, but yes, you can absolutely do that. I would, however, create my own sigil. I wouldn't trust somebody else's sigil if I don't know them. If I don't know a person, and unless I know the person and I trust them implicitly, I will not work with anybody else's sigils, because I don't know what the intention behind it actually originally was. You can say something, and what the actual sigil is doing is completely different. So be careful of using sigils that are flying around the internet. Rather create your own sigil for those particular purposes. Cthulhu, hello Cthulhu, hello from Mississippi. How's it? I'm going to carry on for a while longer. I've still got some hot chocolate, and Jono doesn't want the music to end, so we're going to carry on for a bit. I've still got to do ritual and go to the crossroads. It's already 9 o'clock. Alright. Let's see, Jono. Now the groundwater level in the complex is rising, and we're getting new water springs, which are causing real world problems. You're in the same place my sister was living a few years back, and the groundwater level there is terrible. She actually had a cellar in her house. Could never ever use it because it was constantly flooded. The groundwater level is just awful in your area. So yeah, I can imagine. Cosmic, what about sigils of specific demons like Lucifer, example? What about them? You're going to have to carry on with that question. Luke's, of course, thank you. That's a pleasure. Cthulhu, I have a Lucifer sigil and Abaddon sigil on shirt I wear. Cool. And I don't have any shirts with sigils and stuff on. I've got normal shirts. I've got a Guardian of the Galaxy t-shirt. It's very bright, sparkling. You were talking about using others' sigils. Oh, you mean the spirit seals and stuff. That's a different thing. That's coming from grimoires which are old and thousands of thousands of people have worked with them. So that's become kind of a group effort, really. But when people are just putting up a sigil and it's for prosperity, then just be careful, because, as I said, I could create a sigil and put it on the internet and say it's to bring financial abundance, and the sigil was actually created to drain all of your life force from your body, and as it goes out and becomes viral, more and more people work with it, I'm just gathering more and more life force from more and more people, and they're looking at this and they're doing whatever, and they're because it said it's going to bring financial abundance, and people believe it's going to bring financial abundance, but that wasn't the intention behind it. Somebody just lied. So be careful. Be very, very careful. If you are going to use them, if you find something you actually like, test them first. Just make sure, do some divination, find out if it actually does do what it's supposed to do. It's probably the best bet, is do your divination. Cthulhu Belial is powerful. Belial is very powerful. Yeah. Cosmic Enigma. Was it actually? Sorry. I just want to get back to Cthulhu. Was it you who mentioned that Belial is often considered to be the spirit which Tubal Cain became the avatar of? Because I think I did reply to that comment, and yes, very. I think I can see why people would equate that. I mean, from the lore itself, it is Azazel, but I can see why people would consider Belial to be that spirit, because Belial is very much in his earthy elemental form is very much the forge type god. So yeah, very similar to Azazel and Tubal Cain being the blacksmith. Right, let's go on to Cosmic. Okay, now I understand, but want to double check, how are those sigils manifested? How did the grimoires know the sigil of the demon? They spoke to them, they got them. Same as the ends that we use now. That's a modern thing. It's not an old grimoire thing. It's a very modern thing. It came out of Ducant's and Connolly's demonolatry, and they work excellently. They work very well. But it's people who have spoken to the spirits themselves, and they've been given particular chants, particular sigils that are then used in order to communicate, to call that spirit. Very similar to if you were working yourself very closely with a god or a goddess. What you might find at some stage is when you talk to them, and this is quite often, usually quite early in the relationship, because once you've done all your testing, your discernment and everything else, you know it's the spirit that you want to talk to. What will often happen is they will give you a name, or a symbol or a sigil, or some kind of phrase that you say, and next time you want to call them, then you use this symbol, phrase, or name, specific name that you would call them, and it's personal to you. It's between you and the spirit. It's nobody else. So what happened is very similar to that. These people went, spoke to the spirits, were given a sigil, were given their name, and then they put it into a grimoire, and the grimoire went into print somewhere along the line. And usually the grimoires are dedicated to teachers. It's not like King Solomon wrote all of these grimoires. It's other people who have worked that particular type of magic and have just dedicated it to their teacher. Alright, I did my own sigils of my own name and a statement that means something to me. Drawn them on a rock and on my altar. I'm loving the sigil work. Can make such pretty ones. I love sigils work. It is hot chocolate, there's no quality elsewhere. Jono, Uncle, I think I know more or less where you stay. Is there a nice crossroads there? I've been keeping my eye open for a nice, quiet, usable crossroads for years now. I would prefer it if it wasn't tarmac. You've actually should probably got one close to you. It depends on which side you're in. If you're closer to Peter Road, I know you mentioned a long time ago, I don't want to say it because it's personal, where you stay, but if you're closer to Peter Road, it's Setperk Road. It goes along and then it kind of does this thing where it bends and then comes out onto Peter Road. That is a three-way crossroads. I've got one down the road here, and that's where I take my stuff. But what's nice about where I take mine, it's a T-junction, as I was just talking about. But as the road comes down and it hits the T-junction, just opposite is a big tree. So I actually take my offerings and put them into the tree. If you consider the Y fork, the forked crossroads with 3 times, which is usually related to the goddess Hecate and all that stuff, it's usually the 4th road that goes straight through, which is the road of mystery. So I like this kind of idea that there's a tree there, which is kind of formulating this 4th road almost. So I put all my offerings in the tree. The junction I'm talking about won't really work. I think the university's across the road. But there must be some places around there somewhere. Yolandi, I know you don't believe in karma, but I believe that if you wrong someone, it will come back to you eventually and bite you in the butt. Yeah, I think karma's a bit of a more complicated beast. It goes through lifetimes. You get good karma, you get bad karma, and the whole idea within the Hindu traditions is to release yourself from karma, and that's not just bad karma, that's also your good karma, which is actually very similar to, I'm going to go off tangents now, which is actually very similar to the idea within Toltec warrior path. And coming back to, I mentioned recapitulation earlier, so the whole main idea behind recapitulation is to take your power back, because what they believe is that when we die, we get consumed by Eagle. Eagle is kind of like this, all the energy filaments of everything kind of converge into this one thing, and apparently it looks like an eagle. So when we die, we get consumed by Eagle. Eagle consumes all of our power and our memories and all of this stuff, our awareness. So what happens is they do all these practices which take their power back and completely take all their power back, and then they bypass Eagle, so they become linear being. Very similar to actually the Hindu thing of releasing yourself of all karma, good and bad, and kind of the same thing. I think anyway. I've got an awesome graveyard up the road, Radio Crop, which I'm glad I can use. Somebody else mentioned this the other day. I only stayed there. I stayed with my sister for about 10 months, and although I was in Haldocrane, so that wasn't too far, I was there for about 6 months. I wasn't there for a long time. I never knew there was a graveyard around Radio Crop. So, yeah. Through nice, don't need karma when you've got black magic and Belial. I guess it depends on your interpretation of karma and black magic. Yeah, and Jono retracted a message. Yeah. I think we're actually better end, because as I said, I've still got to do some deep some Hecate workings and go to the crossroads today. I know where you're talking about on Peter Road. It's 4 minutes from me. It would be cool to have a crossroads where I can take a shovel and bury the workings. Yeah, I know it is very difficult to find crossroads like that because I think most of the properties have been bought. So we can't really go onto them. So it's difficult to find a dirt road. Well, in our area, and it's built up. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna end today. I've got some stuff to do before I go to bed. And thanks for joining, everybody. That was great. Covenstead. I enjoyed that. And I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Cheerio. Pleasure, Richard. Have a good one.